What is going on, New York Yankees fans? It is me, Pete Simonetti for NYY News. This is the first of the top 5 videos that I figure it's time to do this, especially with, not being a lot of news right now. We know what's going on with baseball, so there's not a lot of news right now, and the good thing for us is the Yankees haven't filled many holes. So to talk about, what is still relevant to the New York Yankees fan base is positions of need, positions the Yankees should improve upon. We know what those are: catcher, first base, shortstop, center field. Some starting pitching could always help. And today I figure, hey, let's start with catching. That is a terrific place to start. You guys already know how I feel about Gary Sanchez, and I truly think it's a time for Gary and the New York Yankees to just settle on a change of scenery. I mean, let the guy move on. Yankees move on one way or another. And this is a very divisive topic for Yankee fans, but in my opinion, it's time to move on from Gary Sanchez and maybe look for somebody a little more defensive-minded. Gary's going to have a magnifying glass on his back all year. We know that. If he comes back, no doubt about it, that magnifying glass is going to be larger than it was even last year, especially the way it ended with Gary Sanchez and a lot of the plays towards the end of the season. We know the Jonathan VR play against the Mets where he had the ball about 40 feet away and he misses the tag. We know the pop-up against, I believe it was the Indians, where he never touched the ball. We know the pass balls. We know the one-knee stuff. We know that 3/5 of the rotation didn't want to throw to him towards the end of the year. We know he doesn't start playoff games because Cole typically starts game 1. I mean, it goes on and 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 on. And there's things offensively that Gary could do well. That's hitting for power. That's one of the big ones right there. And the Yankees have a lot of guys that can hit for power. And again, not to make this video only about Gary Sanchez. This is just about potential replacements and guys the Yankees can move forward with. Because, guys, remember one thing during this video? I'm a big believer that defense is production. And the Yankees need a defense guy, especially if it's somebody that, they don't need, in my opinion, somebody that hits 250 and hits 25 to 30 homers as the catcher. I just think they need somebody that can, have decent at-bats, catch the ball very, very well, be a average to well above average defensive catcher, and, have the pitchers have confidence in throwing to them. And, maybe a little power would be nice. They could pop a little bit here. So without further ado, let's jump right into the top 5 list. I don't even know if I really put this in order, to be honest, but I think it probably makes sense in the order I have it in, from least to most wants. Number 5. Here we go. Number 5 is Jonah Heim from the Texas Rangers. And I know some of you are probably saying, Pete, the guy hit under 200. Well, listen, Jonah Heim is 26 years old. He's a switch hitter. Again, 10 homers last year. Yes, you're right. 198 or 196 average. 32 RBIs, on-base percentage, slugging, OPS, all miserable, but a very, very good defensive catcher, and you're going to have him for many, many years to come. And a lot of people I speak to, and I've actually asked about Jonah Heim, they believe this kid is going to be an exceptionally good defensive catcher, and actually they compare him to his ceiling could be a guy like a Mike Zunino, who is going to hit you for a lot of power, is not going to bat very high, but is really going to take charge of your staff and do a very good job of that. That's what I'm seeking. So for me on my list, I am seeking guys that can somewhat do that, and then some guys that can really do both sides of the ball. So I like the idea that Heim is a switch hitter. I like the idea that I get a lot of those bats at Yankee Stadium left-handed, where he could utilize the short porch a little bit. But he is a guy that projects to hit 15 plus, maybe 20 plus homers as he gets older, develops a little more, gets his feet wet some more. And again, everything you hear about his defense is really good. So he has multiple years of control. I don't think it will be something that's going to cost the New York Yankees a lot in the prospect capital area. I don't think Heim's going to be one of those guys. But Jonah Heim is my number 5. Number 4, we have from the Colorado Rockies, Elias Diaz. Elias Diaz, who is coming off of his best year in the major leagues. A year that saw him hit 246 with 18 home runs, 338 at-bats, 310 on base percentage, 464 slugging, 774 OPS. But Diaz also had his best year as a defensive catcher, which is very, very important in my opinion. He had career highs in homers. He had career highs in RBIs. So that is just on the offensive side of the ball. But like I told you guys before, That is not a major need for me. It is a need that he has been better defensively. And that's the area of need that I am targeting. Elias Diaz also will not be a free agent until 2025. During that time, not going to be making a ton of money. You'll see Elias Diaz making more, around $6 million, maybe $7 million tops, depending on how the next couple of years go. But cost-wise, he's going to cost more than Jonah Heim, in my opinion, because he's somewhat more established now. The Rockies have a guy who, again, full season and all, has a chance to pop 20 homers and be an average to slightly above average defensive catcher. And to me, again, that is very valuable to the New York Yankees. So number 4, we have Elias Diaz. Number 3 on the list is a guy you have heard me talk about a whole lot, and that is from the Arizona Diamondbacks, Carson Kelly. I have talked about Carson Kelly a lot. I am a really big fan of Carson Kelly. Big right-handed hitter, 27 years young. Carson Kelly last year in 304 at-bats had a 2.1 WAR, 13 home runs, hit 240, 46 RBIs, 343 on-base percentage, 411 slugging, 754 OPS. But Carson Kelly has always been one of those guys where you just look at him, it's like, all right, when is the breakout year? What is the year Carson Kelly is going to break out? He is an average to above average defensive catcher. Again, he has had an injury history in his career where he hasn't been what everybody expected him to be because of injuries. But the but is always there for a guy like Carson Kelly, because once he really gets it going, this guy has all the potential to be an all-star type catcher. He will not be a free agent until 2025. He's going to cost a little something to get because, again, the potential factor is there. And while he plays, he doesn't have really horrible seasons for a catcher. I mean, he has years, a couple years back in 2019, 18 homers, 47 RBIs, had a OPS of 826. And again, that is more along the lines of who Carson Kelly, no doubt about it, could be and could become. He's just one of those guys who, once he gets it all together, once he shows a healthy season, you almost know he's gonna have it. And you may ask, well, would Arizona have control of him? Why would Arizona let him go? Well, they're likely going to go with Dalton Varsho as their starting catcher, so that's going to make Carson Kelly expandable. And, if you can get some pitching back for Arizona, I mean, I think you go ahead and you probably go with that one, right? That would probably make the most sense for a team like Arizona that is rebuilding. So number 3, I have Carson Kelly of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Let's move on to number 2. Number 2 is a name a lot of you have been talking about because the Yankees have been connected to this club. Shaun Murphy of the Oakland Athletics. And a lot of people really like Shaun Murphy. Shaun Murphy is 27 years old. He is cost controllable for multiple years to come. That is something the Yankees always like. The Yankees are looking at that. But here's a guy who really most people believe will do both sides of the ball. They think he's going to be an exceptionally good catcher, and he kind of, proved that in 2021. He is an above-average defensive catcher, and that's everything you want. He also had a very solid season, his best year in the major leagues offensively, 17 home runs, which is more than the career high. Again, his first really full season of almost over 350 at-bats. But he does a lot of good things well. He draws some walks, doesn't bat extremely high, hits for power, but this guy can absolutely catch. And again, defense is production. I love the idea of Shaun Murphy. He's going to cost a boatload, so I don't think there's any chance that the Yankees can ever do a Murphy and Olsen deal. I think if they pick and choose one of those guys with a starter, maybe they can have the framework for a deal. But this is what the Yankees should be looking for. If they're able to get a guy like a Carson Kelly, if they're able to get a guy like a Shaun Murphy that's controllable for years to come and has legitimate potential when they're on that field, that is what the New York Yankees have to look for. So my number 2 is Shaun Murphy. I don't know. It's just tough to see him actually getting traded right now by Oakland. But if he's available, be cash. Go do your thing. And number 1, we have the one, the only Willie Contreras of the Chicago Cubs. Guys, the more I have learned about Willson Contreras, the more I've had people tell me about Willson Contreras, the more I want Willson Contreras to be a New York Yankee. We know that Yan Gomes signed a 2-year deal, I believe it was, with the Chicago Cubs. Willson Contreras, after that deal, puts a little emoji thing together of the plane taking off, being like, all right, I'm out. Cubs don't have to deal him. We know that, especially the DH potentially coming to the National League. You can move some guys around a little bit, but that's just speculation on my part. They don't have to move him. We know that. But Willson Contreras is 29 years old. He would have 2 years left, which would be 2022 and 2023, I believe. Let me just verify that. I'm pretty sure that is correct. Let's see. No. So you had all of next year available. He could be a free agent in 2023. So overall, Willson Contreras had a solid year. 21 homers, 237 average, a 4.1 WAR, which is the highest on the list of the guys that I have mentioned today for WAR. 57 RBIs, 340 on-base percentage, 438, slugging percentage, 778 OPS. And again, defensively, I heard a lot of people talk about Willson Contreras defensively. He's that good. Career-wise, he is absolutely excellent. And last year, he was not bad. He was above average as a defensive catcher. But the one thing I love when I ask people about Willson Contreras is they immediately tell you about his personality, that he is just a no-nonsense type guy. He is a stand-up guy. He very much demands the most out of his starting pitching. He is very serious about being a catcher. And I tell you what, man, leadership qualities kind of come off this guy a little bit. There's been some things said that he talked about of maybe wanted to be traded if the team's not competing and things of that nature. But I think that's just the heart of a guy. I think that's just the heart of a player saying, hey, I want to win. I'm in this thing to win it. Willson Contreras, to me, is my number one, as you guys see on the list. I absolutely love the idea of him. I think the Chicago Cubs and the New York Yankees match up extremely well for a potential trade. So I love him. Those are the 5 names on there. Some guys left off. Max Stassi could be a guy potentially the Yankees could go after. Mitch Garver, a lot of you guys talked about. I left him off my list. I went with some of the guys I thought maybe not necessarily more realistic, but I think would make more sense for the New York Yankees. But all the guys I mentioned, I would be okay with, to be quite honest with you. I think Jonah Heim may be the one that I'm least okay with, just because I don't know how quickly the impact would be, even defensively. I haven't seen enough from defensively. I'm just going off of word. But word is he will be an exceptional defensive catcher, and I love that. I'm sorry. I think we need that right now. So in the comments below, you guys let me know. Who would your top 5 be? Forget my top 5. This is just the material for you guys to have a conversation. My top 5 is my top 5. You guys let me know. Out of those guys on the list, would you want any of them? Do you think it's time to move on from Gary Sanchez? Do you think the Yankees catcher should be Gary Sanchez? Do you think it should be Kyle Higashioka like some people believe? What do you believe? That is what NYY News is all about. Let's have some dialogue in the comment section below again. Put all that stuff there. If you are not subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe to this page because you do not want to miss out on everything we have coming for you guys. Remember, Saturday will be the big announcements of NYY News TV. The trailer will drop, followed by a live. So with that being said, guys, I am Pete Simonetti. Thank you for watching my first top 5 potential Yankee catching targets. Thank you, guys.